Welcome to another episode of Unscripted with Marilyn Morales. Today we have a show like no other because my guest is like someone no other. My guest today is Miss Dana Lynn Banks. Originally from Maryland, Dana grew up in the suburbs where she presently resides today. She values faith and family most in her life. Dana's distinguished career in telecommunications culminated in an MBA and several prestigious awards as a dynamic leader in sales excellence. The owner of a business consulting firm, Dana is a passionate entrepreneur, best-selling author, motivational speaker, and ghostwriter. As a dedicated hospice caregiver, Dana fulfills one of her greatest missions by serving others. Dana is part of various important leadership roles within her community and beyond. A well-respected, gifted intuitive, Dana fosters her spiritual growth and development by bestowing intentional encouragement through a weekly program entitled Thursdays with Dana. Let's welcome Dana to the show.
Wow, that is a very warm welcome. Thank you, Marilyn. How are you?
And that's a very, very impactful bio.
Thank you. A little long-winded, but hey, thanks so much for having me.
It's very impressive, and I have been so lucky to have met you in this last year. Most of the people that I bring on my show are people that I've just come in contact with, that God has blessed me with. And I have been a witness to a lot of the gifts that you have, especially being that gifted intuitive. And we'll touch on that a little bit later because I want to be able to share that story of how you connected me with my mother. So tell my viewers about you a little bit. And today we're going to talk about miracles, one of my favorite subjects.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Every day is a miracle.
Every day is a miracle, and you have a unique story that I know my viewers are going to absolutely love. So share with us about Dana.
Sure. So I am a blessed mother of 7 beautiful, healthy children. I'm a grandma of 2 and with one on the way. So it's I'm going to have a Christmas grandbaby, and I'm excited because I'm rooting for a boy. I have 2 granddaughters, but I'm rooting for a boy. And I'll take another girl if that's what the Lord gives us. But super excited, really blessed. And so in reading my bio, I treasure family above all. And I pour in my community. I love life. And so that's where I really, truly am blessed to bless others. And love the sales arena, although I'm not in corporate anymore, but my background has been a majority of the time in business and sales. And so currently, so I'm a published author. I'm very excited about that. That was a very remarkable journey. And currently, I have decided to venture a little bit back into the caregiving space. I do volunteer with hospice a lot, but there is a need in my community for more elder care. So, and that is where I feel most comfortable. And so I'm going to be venturing into that and still working the life as an entrepreneur. And so, yeah, that's what I'm currently doing.
Well, that's fantastic. I have to say that I spent the majority of my nursing career in geriatrics and that end stage life, right? And you're talking about hospice. Yes. And I recently was sharing with some coworkers how important the work is at this time period, during this transitional period, right? We always celebrate. You talk about a grandbaby that's on the way. We celebrate with parties, with all kinds of things when a baby is about to enter the world, and we don't do the same on the way out. And we should, right? Yes. And a life well lived, no matter how long that life has been, should be celebrated at the end and honored. Most importantly, honored at the end. So thank you for doing the work that you're doing right now.
Thank you. And I wanted to add, Marilyn, that a lot of folks, they have a misconception about what hospice is. And I can say with conviction that a majority of people, when they are ready to transition, they're ready. And so I have had the wonderful opportunity to witness the most beautiful deaths. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things with co-authorship that I have coming up with Julia Gandy is that we're going to be honoring that final passage and sharing stories. She's a hospice therapist as well. I've been a nurse
Mhm.
for over 37 years and been witness to the miracles of the passing. And we
Oh
want
yeah.
we want to take away those myths, right? Those misconceptions of
Yeah,
what
the
the end is
stigmas,
going to look like.
absolutely.
Stigmas, fears. Most importantly, I think it's fear. People always
Yes.
fear that last stage, and that's why we don't celebrate it when we absolutely should be doing that.
Yeah.
Celebrating a life, right, that has done their job.
Absolutely. And there's, a lot of times there's comedy as well. And so I've had the beautiful experience of having those comical moments as well. So just absolutely beautiful.
That's fantastic. That's great. So today our subject is miracles, right?
Yes.
So
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's talk about the one of the miracles that you started sharing with me about your granddaughter. Tell us
Yep.
about that.
Absolutely. So it's unbelievable to me that I've birthed 7 children, had
To me
no
too.
idea.
To me
Oh,
too.
really? Oh, so
No,
that's our
that you've had
superpower,
seven
right?
children.
So I'll tell you. So in doing so, I always consider myself an expert, right?
Yes,
Well,
you are.
I'll tell you, but I really, I guess I got the rug pulled out from under me because unfortunately, when I was there for the birth of my granddaughter, and a birth injury, one of the most really significant birth injuries that happen in that
Obstetrics.
obstetricians plan for is shoulder dystocia, and that's where the head of the baby kind of gets lodged in the pelvis. And so my daughter was pushing, and she was pushing. In fact, the baby came right on the due date. She had a very easy birth, but then once it got time to push, she just kept pushing and pushing. And then all of a sudden, the alarms went off, and it was an emergent situation. And it just seemed like it happened so quickly. But when my granddaughter had they finally got her out of the birth canal. She was purple.
Mm.
She was not breathing, and I knew it was pretty bad. They rushed the NICU in, and they're just working on her feverishly, uh, working and working and working. And finally, I hear her cry. So I knew once that happened that it was going to be okay. But it was still very touch and go. So they whisked her off into the NICU, and then once she was stabilized, we were so fortunate that she was alive and that she was born. But unfortunately, she had a broken collarbone, and her arm was paralyzed from the trauma of tugging and pulling and trying to get her out. And
Wow.
so that it was very emotional, especially for my daughter. It was her first birth, and just a very somber time. A lot of uncertainty as far as the extent of her injury. And so we embraced everything, and we took her to the specialty hospital, Johns Hopkins, and had a wonderful, wonderful neurologist. I'll never forget him, Dr. Crawford. And it's a teaching hospital. And so, very wonderful experience, very optimistic. And so,
Great.
once we understood what the prognosis was, we just really embraced everything, but we clung to faith, to prayer, because I know without a doubt that there are miracles, and we have to believe that. And so, about she was about 2 months old, and so we traveled to Nashville, where her father was, and the family traveled to Nashville. And Nashville, from me, takes a significant amount of time, talking probably about 10 hours, I guess. And so we get
Right.
to Nashville, and we had a wonderful visit. And I told my daughter, I said, let's go ahead and take the long way home. I want to go through Kentucky. And she said, why, Mom? It's an extra 2, 3 hours. Why do you want to do that? But I say this: trust your instinct. There was something about it, Marilyn,
Yeah.
that told me, go through Kentucky, take the back way. And we had all day. It was on a Sunday. We had all day. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so we started driving, and I had seen a sign that said Grayson, Grayson, 10 miles away. And so that is my youngest son's name. And Grayson can be spelled, I think, 5 different ways. So we traveled to this town called Grayson because I wanted to experience it, perhaps take some photos, refuel, get a bite to eat, just kind of relax a little bit. And so we get to this town and we visit, and we're getting ready to get back on the highway. And so we cross this bridge, and I looked to my left and I said, well, what are those folks doing? I said, they have their clothes on, and they're in this, I guess it's a creek or maybe a river, but I think it was a creek. I said, well, what is going on? And I said, I need to go investigate this. And my daughter, just very kind of short fused and was like, why, Mom? And something again led me. So I went down the rickety road, and we're literally in I say the deep part of Kentucky, to where when folks talk, it's just really thick. And so we get down to the what, the water there, and we see about 30 people, about 10 people coming out of the water, and they're singing Amazing Grace. Beautiful. And that was my mom's favorite Bible hymn. And so I was just moved, and they come out of the water, and the pastor introduced himself, and I introduced myself, and I said, my granddaughter has a birth injury. She's paralyzed. So Milana was paralyzed from her shoulder all the way. So her left side was paralyzed. She couldn't move. And I said, would you mind praying over her? And he said, by all means. And so he tells his assistant, with his deep voice, well, can you go get that rose hip oil out the back of my pickup truck? Rose hip oil. And I don't know if you've ever smelled it, but it's a beautiful smell.
Yes, it is.
And so he comes over and he anoints Milana with the rose hip oil, and the whole congregation prays over her. Very profound, very beautiful. And I think I was so excited about the moment that I didn't even catch his name. Mm-hmm. So we make the trek home, and get home pretty late in the morning, probably 2 or 3 in the morning. And, we get ready. We all get in the house and get ready for bed. And I have my robe on, and I'm getting ready to get in the bed. And I hear my daughter scream. She says, Mom, please come. And first thing I thought is, oh my gosh, what is wrong with the baby? I run down the hallway. And she says, Mama, please come here. And my heart just sank. I run over, and she said, Mama, look, Milana, she's moving her arm. Look at her.
Wow. That's amazing. That's what, hours from when the time that they prayed over her.
Yeah. So, and I get, I've told this story probably 20, 30 times, but I still get emotional because there are no accidents.
Not at all.
I was not supposed to go home that way. And so I followed my instinct, and I went that way. And I say I followed the Lord. The Lord guided me.
Right.
And so in that moment, just seeing her move as if she was never paralyzed. And I remember falling to my knees and praising the Lord, just praising him because it was so quick, because sometimes miracles, they take a while.
It's not our time, it's God's time, right?
It is. And so, she had a wonderful, and I told took her back to Hopkins, and I told Dr. Crawford the story, and he just kind of had a little grin on his face. And I'll tell you, Milana, she always tells me, she calls me Nana. She says, Nana, I'm going to spread the good word. And I said, you are. And she's so gregarious, and she's so thankful, Marilyn, that her, prayers were answered. And so with her miracle, I want folks to know that it should, miracles should never be taken for granted because they are true, they happen, and you really have to have faith when you pray. You have to, faith is not knowing. Faith is just trusting that
That's right.
whatever it is that you're waiting on will come to fruition.
That's right. Let me ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
So after this happened and Milana started to move, did she continue to move? Did you ever see any regression back to some of the paralysis that she had before, or was it completely gone?
It was completely gone, and in fact we were so her injury, we were told that it would most likely require surgical intervention because she had a battery of tests. And
Mm.
so, whatever they do with the electron, so all of it. And so Dr. Crawford was, he has to, you know, keep his composure in front of his students, and professionalism, of course. But I think it was a few months later to where he took me aside and winked, and he said, "I've seen some miracles." He said, "But never quite like this." And so
Oh
that
my
was
God.
that was a
Amen.
beautiful moment. Yes,
Amen. So that
amen.
was going to be my next question. When before this, before you set off to go home, you had a prognosis from a physician. And so that was it. He was telling you she was going to need surgery
Oh yeah,
for
it
to
was.
correct this.
Yeah, in fact, he said most likely she will not be able to play tennis because she could not extend her elbow and some other things. But she has reached every milestone with such grace. Um, and I treasure her because I know she did not. I'll tell you, when you see her picture of moments after birth, she looks like she was hit by an 18-wheeler. She was
Oh,
looked horrifying, and so she was very cranky, a very cranky baby. So it was very challenging because my daughter's a very young mom,
right.
and and just the trauma of the whole entire experience. But my daughter um, is so grateful, and she cannot believe it. And we were able to get some of it on video and some photos. And I've even thought about contacting um, the uh, the pastor someday, but it was
Right. Like how
such
would
a
you
beautiful
find him?
experience.
Did you know what church they came from or no?
Um, I It's a small town, so
True
with a little
story.
bit of yeah, with a little bit of persistence, I could probably do so. But I do want Milana to meet him someday.
And
Um,
Milana's how old now?
she is going to celebrate a birthday, and in fact, I call her my birthday buddy because I know no one in June. So my birthday is the 18th of June, and hers is the 21st. So she will be turning 7 on June 21st.
Seven. Lucky seven, my favorite number.
Yeah, she's a joy, um, and she knows she's a miracle. And in fact, your song, and I say Marilyn's song about the miracles. I believe she probably listens to it every day, and that's one of her favorite songs.
Yeah, it's one of my
So
favorites as well. Tell
yeah,
me about your daughter and how she was transformed. We know that she was shocked when she told you the baby was moving. How did
yes,
this transform her life moving forward?
I I know that she so just the mother and daughter relationship. She was very spiritual before this happened, but I know that it has helped her a lot because there was a lot of trauma, a lot of PTSD that came along with having such a traumatic birth, and not knowing if Milana was going to live or die. And so she doesn't take anything for granted. In fact, I want to say that she's more of a free spirit. She
Mm.
doesn't let things bother her as much as she did, and she doesn't dwell on things. So I can see definitely a positive difference in the way that her personality. So I can
You know,
definitely tell it's had a significant impact on
you
her.
bring up you bring up an excellent point. Sometimes trauma is freeing,
Yes, it
right?
is.
And it wouldn't. seem that way. But when you've gone through the worst, you always think, what could nothing could be worse than this. If I was able to get through that, I can get through anything, right?
Yeah.
So then you become free of
Yeah.
fear because you've
Oh,
already walked
absolutely.
through it. You've walked through
Oh,
the
yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
right?
Because she went through a point in time for about a month, to where she was terrified that she was going to lose Milana again. And she would say things like, why me, mom? I did everything right. Why me? Why did this happen to me? And so
Right.
it was very, you know,
And one
so
of my
she,
favorite sayings, right? When we ask ourselves, why me? Ask
yeah,
yourself better, why not me?
man.
Right? Why
Yeah,
not me?
absolutely.
So now one of the things about you, and you share this with that story, brings this up, how intuitive you actually are,
Oh,
right?
yes. Oh,
So you
yes.
have you have an intuition, but you listen to it. And all
Yeah,
of us have the same ability. Everybody has got
we
the
do.
same antennas. Some
We
of
do.
us just, that muscle of yours, right? You've just
Hmm.
you've just gotten it stronger than others, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
100% is the fact that you know that this intuition comes from somewhere else, and you
Yeah.
absolutely listen to it regardless of whether it makes sense or not. You
Absolutely.
listen to it, right? And sometimes it'll lead you where you need to go.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me, when did you first notice this intuitiveness about you, this knowing, and being able to follow this knowing? How young were you when you first noticed it?
I was pretty, I'd say grade school. And in fact, the first time that I realized it was when there was a tree limb that was about a very, I mean, it would have killed my cousin. There
Mm.
was a tree limb on the farm that was getting ready to fall on my cousin Joey. And I he was clowning around and sitting under there and just fooling around. And I said, you need to get away from that tree. And he was just, with his, sticking his tongue out, acting silly. And um, I don't know what made him move, but he moved out of the way and he was frolicking and chasing the other cousin. And the tree limb just literally just cracked and came crashing down.
Wow.
And I knew, I was frozen because I knew, I believe I was probably at 6 or 7 at the time. And I knew that something inside me, or my instinct was telling me, or giving a warning rather, because with
Yeah.
intuition, it's not always, rosy, right? It's, I've given folks messages that were warnings. And so, that was the most significant thing, but it kind of scared me. It kind
Mm.
of scared me. And so, I I believe, in telling my mom, she was, it was only the kids there, wasn't any adults around. And so, unless you were there, you couldn't understand like the significance of it. But my mom always embraced spirituality, God given gifts. And so, it really scared me. And so, it continued to happen, kind of subtle ways, to where I knew there was something special about me. And they called me the weird kid because yeah, that was nicknamed the weird kid because I would always retreat to my bedroom, or if I stayed at a relative's house, I kind of just remained in the bedroom. I didn't like, playing ball or chase or whatever it was. I was, had a book in my hand, or kind of you know kept to myself. So I was called the weird kid. And so that continued on. And I really, it was not until probably about 10 years ago to where things would happen to where it was very purposeful, that I was meant to give people messages from their loved ones that have passed. And whether it be for closure, whether it be, a certain message that they were to receive, but it was always received very well. And it was so life changing.
Right.
And then that kind of transformed into, sometimes I would give messages as far as warnings. And so I it was something that I had to grow into because the gift Marilyn is so sacred to me that I never want to exploit my gift, because you do have folks that make millions of dollars.
Right.
And I've given gifts to folks that want to, what is your phone number? And but it's not that. It's meant as a one-time thing. I don't want to have a relationship, you know. It's just that special. And I've had folks offer me money and, call me and say, want other messages, but that's not what it is. And so,
And everybody's gift is different. I think
yeah,
sometimes you have intuitives like yourself. You can't control it, right? You
yeah,
don't know when the connection is going to happen. It's not like
absolutely,
you can sit here and
absolutely.
summon it up. It doesn't
Yeah,
work that way for you,
it
right?
does not. It does
And
not. And
there's a
there's a
lot.
lot of, yeah, and there's a lot of misconceptions. And that's why I'm very careful in what I call myself, because I'm not a psychic. I am not a prophet. I am not a medium. So I am a gifted intuitive, and I use what I consider intuition, and I use it to, just enlighten others, and when I'm called to do so. And so,
Right.
yeah,
Right. When it comes to you. I think that's it.
absolutely.
That's a really good explanation for that. There's people that have different levels of ability and can do things
Yes.
like that. And then
Yeah.
there's people like you that, God speaks to you and tells you this is it and you feel it and you said, let me share this
Oh yeah.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
So that
and what happened with that journey, Marilyn, is that when I was first embracing that, and I would not give the message that was intended, what would happen is I would, for about a few days, I would just feel this sense of gloom, as though, I didn't fulfill a promise. And so you best believe when I get those downloads, I call them, I am very quick to give that message, and it's always received in the most positive way, which is awesome.
right. And when it comes to for yourself, right? Because this is, I'm sure, another misconception, right? Is like,
Yes.
do you get these alarms sometimes when you're making decisions for yourself, right? Do you feel that same alarm and later on you go, damn it, I knew I shouldn't have done that because my
Yes.
antennas were telling me not to, but I
Oh
did it
yeah.
anyway? Right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's happened, and in fact, it's happened a little bit more frequently lately, because I have a lot of goals that I want to accomplish. So to
Right.
answer your question, it sure does, and I do this. I clap. Yep. I So yeah, it
Yeah. You're just
that, and
human. You're only
again,
human. Because people will
yeah,
turn around
oh
and go, then
yeah,
how
oh
come you didn't?
absolutely. So
But
and
you're
when you're given a gift, it things happen, and so yes, I
yeah.
do miss it sometimes, absolutely. But I can't, a lot of folks say, well, can you give me the winning lottery numbers? Nah, it doesn't work
You'd
that
be
way.
rich. You'd be rich at this
Yeah.
point. Right. And again, we
Yeah.
don't sometimes it's the same when it's for you, you're not as sensitive to it as if it were for someone else, right? Because you
Absolutely.
think too much into it when it's for you, but you don't know anything about the person, so you can't think into it. Again,
Absolutely.
you and I had our first virtual coffee, so we didn't know anything about each other, right? And we were
Absolutely.
just getting to know each other when you shared with me that you were hearing, for whatever reason, you were hearing wind chimes,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah.
was directly, my mother had just passed, the year before that. I was struggling with it, and somebody had given me wind chimes in her honor. You had no idea, right?
No.
You had
No.
no idea. So when you
No.
said to me, I hear wind chimes associated with your mother, what is that? Oh my God, that was confirmation
Oh
because
yeah.
nobody knew that, right? You didn't know that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, it's such a, I'll tell you, to even try to describe the feeling when that moment happens, it's just, it's as if I'm receiving a gift. And in fact, it just happened the other day when a random woman came to get tadpoles out of the pond, and it happened to be my granddaughter's bus driver, and her mother had passed, and she and her, not only her daughter, but the woman there to get the tadpoles were currently going through cancer treatment. And so you look at all the synchronicity, Marilyn, and you
Yeah.
look at the moments that I've been able to bless people, and it literally is so intentional, and it's so random, and that's what makes it so beautiful. And so
And so
It's just,
authentic.
oh my gosh, yes.
The
And so
authenticity of it when you don't know who it is and you get the
oh
download
yeah.
100%.
Oh
Now tell
gosh.
me, what is Thursdays with Dana? What is Thursdays with Dana?
So I had so I was trying, so I have a consulting business, a business consulting business I've had for quite a while, but I said I want to start offering my gift to folks, kind of no charge. But so I said, well, what? So Tuesdays with Maury, I don't know if you're familiar with the
Oh,
book.
yes.
One of
Yes.
my favorite, one of my favorite. And I said, well, I can't be Tuesdays with Dana. I said, but I was born on a Thursday. My mom always called me Thursday child. So I said, you know what?
That's funny. So
Thursdays
was
with
I.
Dana it is.
So was
So
I.
Thursdays. Oh wow. Okay. All right. So I said, how about I'll call it Thursdays with Dana. And so that was recent. So yeah, so I just named it Thursdays with Dana, where folks can have a virtual coffee. They can, you know, um, talk about one of the numerous. I have a lot of different services that I offer, and then of course the intuitive session as well. And so Thursdays with Dana. That's
Love it. I think I'm supposed to be a part of that club. I was born on a Thursday, so was Isabella, and so was Lorenzo. Three of us.
wow. Look at that. Okay.
All born
Yeah.
on a
So
Thursday. All
wow.
Thursday
Awesome.
babies. So that's something
Awesome.
special about us, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So give us a quick snapshot of what kind of services that you offer and how people can get a hold of you.
Yes, sure. So, of course, I'm more than happy to have an intuitive session, and that doesn't have to also, entail your loved ones that have passed away. It can just be, what you're thinking about your business or personal or what have you. But I'm a very gifted ghostwriter, and so if you're looking for ghostwriting services, I also I do copyright, trademark as well. And I always tell people you don't have a business unless you trademark it. It's very important to do so. And you should do that as soon as you form your business. So I can help out with that. I do a lot of grant writing. I do a lot of high level. If you have a complaint, for instance, you have tried, to wrestle with the phone company forever, or whatever it be, the electric company. So I write and get things resolved for folks. And
Nice.
I do a lot of, anything that has to do with resolving conflict or an issue. And I also do websites for authors. And so I always tell folks if you're publishing a book, you need a website. And so mine is more geared toward the authors. And so a lot of different things that
You
I
have a lot of
offer.
different services, 100%.
Yes.
So all those services they can find on this website here, www.danalynbanks.com. Access to
Yep.
all those types of services.
Yep, absolutely. And I
Fantastic.
do want to mention that I'm also a licensed travel agent. And so, really quick about that, wherever you book your travel, the big guys get the commission. So, with me, you can book travel with me and I get the commission. And I also give you a free complimentary 2-day, 3-night stay. So, it's not a travel club, it's travel. If you need to book travel, any type of travel, you can get a hold of me and I'll be more than happy to help you with that.
Awesome. That's absolutely wonderful. So, and what is the name of your book? You mentioned you're an author. You and I launched our books together in January. Share with everybody the name of your book.
Sure. It's called The Postcard, Pennies, and a Promise. And so that's I journaled after my mom passed for 11 years. I journaled, and it took me about 10 months to write that book. It's a very it's a short read, but it's a deep, deep dive. And so just really, really exciting. 10 stories of how my mother communicated with me, and she still does, not so much often, as often, but man, it's definite. You're gonna need your tissue box.
Yeah, it's an absolute beautiful story. And anybody that has experienced loss, pick this book up. Go on
Oh
that website, buy the book. Buy the book. It'll
yes,
get an autographed copy from Dana.
yes,
So, Dana,
absolutely.
this is the question that I ask all my guests, and I would love to hear your answer. And that is, how do you define success?
So, success to me is embracing the God given gifts that have been given to you. And you know what they are, but do not, never allow fear to stand in your way. So, whatever it is, it's yours. No one else has it. They might have similar gifts, but only you, the individual, has your gift. And so success is embracing those gifts and sharing them with the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for blessing my viewers. And for my viewers, I will see you next time.
Thanks so much.
Hi,
Mary.
everybody. My name is Gabrielle Morales, and I am a recruitment coordinator for Be the Match. My journey with Be the Match actually began when I was only 9 years old. At that point, my 7-month-old baby sister was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of leukemia. Through the Be the Match registry, we were able to find a matching donor for my sister. And although a few months later we lost her, her cancer was cured. Our family is so thankful for the additional months that we had with my sister. And ever since then, I've made a promise to myself to dedicate my life to helping children just like Isabella and helping families like ours by continuing her legacy. Hence why I now work for Be the Match. I love what I do so much, and I'm able to spread awareness about the huge need for more donors on the registry, especially those of diverse backgrounds. There is currently a huge disparity within the registry for minority patients, and we need your help. It is so simple to save a life and to be put on the registry. You can visit izzy'slegacy.com or text Izzy's Legacy to the number 61474 to start the registration process to be on the Be the Match registry, to hopefully be a life-saving match for a searching patient in need.